In this video, we'll show you how to view files from Salesforce via table using the file viewer in Titan Web. Now, there are two variations covered. One variation is where you bring multiple records and view files for each of that record, whether it's one or multiple files. Or you can bring one record and show multiple files in a table and then view the file like that. So those are the two different variations covered. So variation number one is going to be multiple records and multiple files to each of those multiple records. So the first thing we're going to do is, actually I should clear this out because I was playing around, and I'm going to just remove a variable here and then we will get started. Okay, done. So the first thing we'll do is we'll bring a lookup, and in that lookup I'm going to bring all the accounts from Salesforce. So here's the account, and that's all I really want to bring. And we will call this account lookup. Now, in this account lookup, I'm going to bring an account, and then off that account, I'm going to bring in multiple contacts, and each contact has multiple files. To give you an example, I have an account called Phoenix Recruiters here. This is the one that I've just highlighted for you. And in Phoenix Recruiters, I've got multiple contacts. And each contact has multiple files. So if I head over to Alicia James, for example, you can see that she has multiple files. If I head over and pick another contact like Tom, and Tom has one file. So that's what we're going to bring. So in the first lookup here, I'm going to bring accounts. And then in the second table here, I'm going to bring all the contacts to that account. And the query is very simple, which is account ID in the contact must equal the account value in my lookup. So that's what we're doing. And then based off that, I'm just bringing in a couple of things, which is their full name, their account ID, and I'll reference it to account name. That's all I really care about. So let's delete this, click apply, and then there we got our table. Now, here's the part that you need to know, which is that when this is not empty, so if I head over to my get here, we're going to label out the get so everything kind of makes sense. Let me just delete this one. So this one here is going to be the number one. This is going to bring up all accounts. And then this one here is going to be my number two, which is bring all contacts based off the account lookup. Now, I want to make sure that the run criteria here, that it only runs when my lookup value is not empty, which means there's a lookup, something's been selected. That's the important part. And then when I head over to my lookup here, I want to run this Salesforce action to say if this field is not empty, then go ahead and run my table, which is the contact, like that. So to do a quick test, click save, click preview. Watch now when I select Phoenix Recruiters here, which is the account lookup, it's going to populate all the contacts. Awesome stuff, it's working, it's good. Now the next part is to add the button. So I'm going to add a button, and the button is going to be called View Files, like that. And the first thing I want to do is quickly just give it some sort of styling so it actually looks like a button and not just a text. So we'll give it a random blue. The font will be completely white. And then the size, I'll give it 100, maybe 150 is good enough. Too much, we'll give it 100. And then give it, I don't know, 50 height, good enough. Okay, next thing, what I want to do is pass the ID of that contact into a variable. So we're going to go ahead and create a variable. So here we go, head over to Tools, and we create a variable, and the variable is going to be called contact ID, like that. Now what is the point of this variable here? When this button is clicked, I want it to pass the contact ID into that variable. So if I head over here now and I say click on action, what I want to do is I want to affect the element, and I want to say that my contact ID set value from directly my power table like this. That's what I'm doing. And click apply. Now you may be wondering what the hell is going on here. So I will flick on the debug mode, and you should do this. Here it is, switch it on. What I'm really doing is if I click preview and let's say I look up my Phoenix recruiters, if you look in the debug mode here, you can see that this is a power table. You can see these are the values, sorry, these are the text and these are the values. What I really want to do is everything one is clicked, I want to pass this kind of value directly into my contact ID, which is over here. You can see right now that it's empty, but because I've written that condition, watch this. If I click here, view files, it's now populated. It's no longer empty. Now every contact I click on will populate this. So if I click here, let's say for example, Patty Richardson, you can see it's now populated. Now all we're really going to do is going to run a file viewer based off that contact ID. So if I click over here, it's going to add a new strip. And in the new strip here, I'm going to get my widget, which is the file viewer. Now, really important that you specify which files you want to bring. I want to bring PDFs only, so that's what I've selected. And I'm going to say they can download, rotate, zoom, print, all that kind of stuff. Now, because I've got the contact ID, I need to create a third file get. So this is going to bring files based off the contact ID variable. So I'm going to choose files, which is equivalent of content version, and I'm going to make it user action. I'm going to bring multiple files, up to 10. Condition is very simple. First published location ID equals my contact ID like this. And in the mapping, there are two fields we want to map. First, the version data, and then the file type, like that. That's it. And once this is done, you need to make sure that this action runs when the contact ID is not empty. So let me just delete this rule because I'm going to rewrite it. So here I'll go into the condition and say contact ID is not empty. Then go ahead and run my Salesforce action, which is going to, the third one, bring files, like that. Very important you label and add descriptions. It will make your life a hell of a lot easier. So now, here we go. I'm going to show this to you slowly. First thing we do is we bring the lookup. Based off the lookup, the table is going to be populated. Based off this, when I click view files, it's going to populate the contact ID. And based off the contact ID, it's going to bring all their files into the file viewer. That's what's going to happen here. So if I click on Alicia James, she has 3 files. So this is file number 1. Scroll down, this is file number 2. Scroll down, this is file number 3. Now Tommy Ramirez only has 1 file, so it will just show that one specific file in here, like this. So that is variation number 1 in here. Now you may just want to bring all the files in here and then just show the file viewer of one particular file rather than bringing multiple files. So I'll show you how to do variation number 2. If you got your answer right now, you can practically skip and you don't have to do anything further. So let's go ahead and delete this project, and we're going to open a new one. Okay, so this one, we're going to bring files into a table of one specific contact. So if I head over to my contacts here and we'll pick up Alicia James, what I'm really going to do is select her from a lookup. In the table, I'm going to populate all the files, and then each file as it's clicked, we will show it in a file viewer. That's the second variation. So the first thing we do is we bring a lookup, and this lookup is just going to bring all the contacts like this. So we will call this contact. And then basically, based off the contact, I want to bring my files. So here I will choose files, and then I will say that the first published location ID equals my lookup, which is going to be my value contact. So here I'm just going to add a bunch of columns. First one I'm going to add is the file name, which is the title, And then I'm going to add a button to say view file. And then we will just go ahead and simply, all I really got to do is style the button. Give it a color white, fill it with blue, and then change the size. In fact, I do want the font to be super wide, not just gray white. And then the size is going to be 100. And then 50. Now, good enough. Now, what I want to do is I want to create a variable. All right. So this variable is going to take the content version ID, which is this value here, and pop it into a simple variable. That's what I'm going to do, and take it from a table. So when this is clicked here, it will take this value and push it into a variable. That's what it's going to do. So first thing first, I'm going to create a variable first. So here we're going to say content version ID. All right, so this is the variable. Now on the condition here, I'm just going to simply say affect element, and I'm going to say content version ID, take value from my power table value. That's really all I'm doing. So if I click apply, put the debug mode on, let me show you how it works. So first thing first, we'll look up the contact, Alicia James. Well, it hasn't run because I should assign it to run. So first thing first, this is going to run, bring contacts, and then this one is going to run again, which is to bring files from contact. It's really important that I assign on this condition here to say if this is not empty, then run my Salesforce action to bring files, not contacts, files. Second one like this. Alrighty, so click save, click preview, and now we will do Alicia James as the contact, and you can see these are all the files. Now in the debug mode here, the content version ID is empty, so as soon as I click something, you can see that the content version ID is now going to be populated like that. Now all I've got to do is run the file viewer. So if I do plus, go to widgets, head over, bring my file viewer here. I want to just bring PDF, so I'll select PDFs here, and I'll say actually they can print, download, rotate, zoom, all that. Now the cool part here is all I've got to do is run another get. So I will do files. And here I'm just bringing one file, so it's irrelevant how many you select here. So this is going to bring files based off the variable, which is my content version ID. Now in the conditions here, all I'm going to do is content version ID equals my variable content version ID, and in the mapping in the file viewer, you've got to make sure that the version data is set, and then the type is going to be file type. And then once this is done, you need to make sure that in the variable here that you run it. So in the condition, you will say my content version ID is not empty. Then go ahead and run my Salesforce action, which is going to bring the files like that. Okay, so click save, click preview, let's run my test. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring Alicia James. Once she's there, it's going to trigger the table. Once I click this view file, it's going to populate this content version ID here. And then because this is not empty, it's going to view the file viewer. So if I go boom like this, you can see it's now running because it's not empty. Now it's not empty, it's going to go ahead and bring my file. Really cool. If I choose the second file, you can see it will bring the second file in here. And then I'll finally show you the third file as well. Now all I'm really doing is bringing Alicia, all the files from here, each one directly into the file viewer like this. And these are the two variations. It's a bit of a long video, but it's a very important one.